Hello, good day. Welcome back once again to our teaching and learning. We'll be having basic science, and the topic is weeds. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to evaluate the importance of weeds, identify common weeds and their scientific names, and three, you should be able to say the ways we can control weeds. Analyze the ways of controlling weeds. Now, what are weeds? Weed is any plant, or weeds are plants that grows where they are not wanted. Weed is any plant that grows where it is not wanted. Now, when you look, a farmer plants his crops in the soil, and as soon as he plants the crops in the soil, some plants start to germinate. They start to grow, and when you look closely, you see that the one you planted doesn't grow or didn't grow, or you can't see them germinating. You start seeing the weeds growing. That is why they are called weeds, because they grow where they are not wanted. And you look very closely, you see that they grow very fast. They grow very fast, and they spread evenly from one end of the farm to another. Now, we've talked about weeds. We said that weeds are plants that grows where they are not wanted. Now, looking at this my chart, I have about 5 weeds that are drawn in my cardboard sheet. I'm going to tell you their names, the English names, and their scientific names. This is a central. Number 1 is central. Number 1 is central. What is the scientific name? The scientific name is Centrosema pebensis. Centrosema pebensis. Now, looking at it, what can you see? You can see that it is underlined. It is what? Underlined. Now, when you want to write the scientific names of crops, of plants, you underline them and you separate them. You separate them like I did in my own. Number 2 is sensitive plants. 2 is sensitive plants. Most of you must have seen it when you are walking by the way. It is, most people call it touch and die. Most people call it what? Touch and die. When you touch the plant, the weed, it will do what? Close. It will close its leaves. It will close it. So that is why it is called sensitive. But other plants, when you touch them, they can't feel it. But this particular one, it is sensitive plant because it feels, it senses that someone touched it. And what is the botanical, what is the scientific name? Mimosa pudica. What did I say? Mimosa pudica. Again, Mimosa pudica. Then the next one is sunflower. You see, oh, sunflower, is it a weed? Yes, it is a weed because it grows where it is not wanted. And what is the scientific name? Helianthus annus. Say it with me. Helianthus annus. Again, Helianthus annus. You can see when you write them, you underline their scientific names. Then the number 4th one is carpet grass. You can see them in a school compound. You can see them in a school compound. The scientific name is Azonopus compressors. Say it with me. Azonopus compressors. Azonopus compressors. Then the last one I have here is Guinea grass. Guinea grass. It grows like a corn. but it has more leaves like the corn. The scientific name is Panicum maximum. Panicum maximum. What did I say? Panicum maximum. These are the ones I've shown you in my cardboard sheets. Now we have lots of them, but I just gave you 5. I just gave you 5. Now, we've said the meaning of weeds. We've also talked about the common weeds and their scientific names. Now, let's go to the importance of weeds. Anything that is on earth has its positive and its negative effects. Now, what are the positive effects of weeds? The positive effects of weeds. Some weeds, they serve as food for farm animals. Yes, like the goats, the cows. You see them, they graze around, or they give them in their houses where they are housed. And they are given to do what? To feed on them. So number one positive effect of weeds, it does what? It serves as food for farm animals. Number 2, it controls erosion. It controls, by the time you weed them, you cut down those weeds. You use them, maybe if you've seen that the movement of water channels itself to a place instead of following through the gutter. You use those weeds that you've cut down, you use it to block the passage of water. So it helps to do what? Control erosion, washing away of topsoil. Number 3, it serves as medicinal value. Some grasses, people cook them and take them to do what? Cure their diseases. Like some people, they take the neem plant. Some people think it's also a weed because sometimes it grows where they are not wanted. Some people cook them and use them to do what? To treat a sickness called malaria. Another one is it helps to retain water in the soil. Yes, when there are weeds in the soil, where you planted your crops, it will help to retain water. Then number 5, we have the ones we call the legumes. The legumes. The legumes, can you see it? The legumes act as a cover soil, acts as a cover to the soil. By the time it acts as a cover to the soil, it will now help to fix a nutrient which is called nitrogen. It helps to fix nitrogen into the soil. That is all for the positive effects of the weeds. Number 1, serves as food for farm animals. 2, it helps to control erosion. 3, it serves as a medicinal value. 4, it helps to retain water in the soil. 5, it is used as a what? A cover crop, which helps to fix nitrogen into the soil. Then negative effect. Remember, I told you anything that has a positive must also have a negative. Now, what does it do? It reduces the crop yield. By the time it is growing in the soil, it will affect the growth of your plants. Maybe the one you intentionally did what? Grow, which is called the crops. Crops are those plants that are intentionally grown. So it will affect the crop yields. Then number 2, it will now start competing with your crops. When it sees that you've come to water the soil, it will start fighting and be taking the water. Did you see it? So it will do what? It will fight for what? Space. It will fight for water and it will fight for nutrients. By the time it sees that there are nutrients that have been introduced in the soil, it will start doing what? Fighting with your own crops. So you see, it is a negative effect. Number 3, it serves as a home for crop pests. Many pests live in weeds. It will just house them. And by the time they are housed in the what? Weeds, it will start doing what? Attacking the crops. Then number 4, it is poisonous. It is poisonous to man and to farm animals. Sometimes when a farmer or a human wants to harvest his crops, he might mistakenly, maybe if he planted scent leaf, like I've seen in a farmland, you planted scent leaf, which is some people also call basil leaves. When you want to harvest it, or you want to take some of them, you will see that there's a particular one that looks like the scent leaf. If you are not careful enough, you will do what? Harvest it, and by the time you take it, it can serve as a poison to you, thinking it is the scent leaf. So you see, it is poisonous to who? To farm animals, and also to what? To man. Then number 5, it reduces the quality of the crops. By the time you harvest your crops, if you are expecting a big tuber of yam, you will see you start having a small tuber of yam. So it reduces the quality of the yam or of your crops. Now, we have ways we can control them. We have ways we control the weeds. Number 1, we can control the weeds by biological method. What do I mean by biological method? When you send the farm animals to do what? To go to the, maybe you can just take them out to do what? Eat up the weeds, or you can harvest them and give it to them. We call them herbivores. The herbivores are the goats, the sheep that does what? Eat grasses. Then we have the cultural method. What do I mean by cultural method? Cultural method is crop rotation. By the time maybe you decide to farm yam, the next year you do what? You farm maize. You are rotating it. By the time you are rotating, crop rotating or crop rotation, it will help to do what? Reduce the growth of weeds, and also cover crops. Like I said, the legumes. When you plant the cover crops, it will do what? It will help to reduce weeds. Then number 3 is mechanical method. What do I mean by mechanical method? Use of harvesters or simple farm tools like your hose, your cutlass to remove the weeds. That is what we call mechanical method. When you now use your harvesters or you use your hose and your cutlass to harvest. Then number 4 is chemical method. It is the way you use herbicides. Like it comes in liquid form, just like we have the pesticides that is used to control mosquitoes in the house. We also have the one of herbicides, which helps to do what? Control weeds. By the time you do what? You introduce them in your soil, like we have the gramozones, the delapon, and the cyanazine. It will help to control the weed. That is what we call chemical methods. This brings us to the end of today's class. I'll be sending the notes forward with the video alongside, and then your classwork. Please, I would like you to do them and submit to me. Thank you. See you in my next class. Bye.